I think that's how it works. And we are live. Hello, everyone. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Rebel. Welcome to the Jeet Kune Dialogues, episode number 294, which is, I'm doing two things here. It's the Titans of JKD primer, or primer, some people call it. And it's the Ask Me Anything for the month of February, since I'm working on a very special guest for next Friday. So I moved it up to today. So as you are logging in, if you'd be kind enough to say where you're logging in from, hit the like button. Feel free to continue doing so throughout the dialogue. If you're catching the simulcast over on the YouTube, please be sure to like, subscribe, and consider joining the YouTube channel as a paid subscriber, and just hit the join link and you can see the different perks that are available to you over there. All right, so okay, so let's see who's here. Okay, Terry Valor is here, Mark Black, Bucky Barreto. Okay, so I'm glad that Bucky's here, because actually it's kind of serendipitous the way it happened. Bucky's going to be at the Miami seminar, and on Tuesday night after class, or before class, sometime on Tuesday, he asked me about kind of like if there was going to be a theme for the seminar. What should he expect for at the seminar? Well, the short answer is I have no idea, right? Chris and Cass and I have not talked about anything. It's entirely up to them. They can teach whatever it is that they want to teach. And the reason why that's my approach to it is because I was going to say I trust them implicitly, but it's not even that. It's that these are two guys who have been in JKD. JKD is probably one of the things that has been most consistent in their lives for the past 40, 50 years, right? So it never really occurred to me to think in terms of, even for myself, and I was telling Bucky and Charlie this, even for myself, when I went out to LA in 83, I had no idea what I was going to be getting myself into. I knew I was going to go train with Dan and Asano. I didn't have any previous training or what have you, but it wasn't important to me to be able to know what I was getting myself into, because I was there to learn. And so I was telling Bucky and Charlie that if your attitude, if your approach is I'm here to learn, then it doesn't matter. You don't really need to you don't have to know anything in advance about what is going to be happening. But I thought I would share some stuff with you guys. So before we do anything, this is the website for the seminar, titansofjkd.com. You can go there. If you are not, I think I saw Randy Valor on here, and I know at least one of Randy's students is coming down. Theodore Chaplin, I think, is coming down. So from South Carolina. So if you go to titansofjkd.com, you get all the information there. If I mean, it's 2 weeks away, so if you're from out of town, you might still be able to squeak by with a fairly decent flight fare. Know that the cost edge will be taken off a little bit, because we have discounted parking for anybody who's staying at the hotel, or even if you're not staying at the hotel, if you just are with us, you get a discount on the daily parking rate. You also get breakfast, free breakfast and lunch if you are a seminar attendee on both seminar days, on Saturday and Sunday. So we're pulling out all the stops to make this as memorable an event as possible. So go to titansofjkd.com and as my good friend Mark says, check it out. Right. Okay. So I said I was going to talk to you about Chris and Cass a little bit. And I went through I went through the internet looking for stuff, and I realized something. So let's see. We're okay. So let me tell you this, right? I actually got a message from an old student of mine, Mike Barsky, here in Miami. He sent me a message today. He goes, I was watching this movie, The Island. He goes, is that you in the bar fight scene? And I was like, yeah, it's me. He was like, oh man, it's good to see that you still got it, right? Right, which is kind of funny. But yeah. And so how many of you guys know or knew about this? Let me get this up on the screen for you. Give me 1 second. I gotta find it here. Um, let's see if I can. No, I can't pull it. Oh man. Okay, give me a sec. Let me get these two in there. One, two. Is that the only one? Three. Okay. You guys will get a kick out of this. So, how many of you guys have ever heard of this movie, Razor Sharp? Now, I got to tell you, before 45 minutes ago, I had never heard of it under this title. I know the movie not as Razor Sharp, but I know it as, where's the other? Did I pull them all? Shoot, maybe I didn't pull them all. So I don't know it as Razor Sharp. I know it, and maybe you do too, as this title. I know it as Exposure, right? And if you don't know it as Exposure, you might know it as where's the other one? You might know it as this. El Arte de Matar, right? So 3 titles. I thought that was kind of funny because, so this, oh, wait, let me tell you why this is significant. So Chris Kent was the one of the technical advisors for this art. So you can, for this movie. So it was actually a movie, not about knife fighting, but knife fighting did feature dominantly in the movie. And Chris was the knife fight trainer for both Checky Cario and Peter Coyote, and he was the technical advisor for the movie. But what I thought was funny about it is that it's got like 3, maybe even more names, right? El Arte de Matar, Razor Sharp, and Exposure. Just like Chris's teacher, Dan Inasano, he's got the Chie Boxing Master, Counterattack, and what's the other title? There's another title, right, for the movie that he did with John Ladowski. So I thought I thought all of that was pretty interesting. That he had that in common with Sifu Dan. Then it was kind of funny that Mike called me today to ask me about my movie, the Island. Now, the other thing that you guys might not be aware of is this one. So here's do this and do this. Okay. So how many of you guys are aware of this? So this is a movie called Hawk's Vengeance that stars Gary Daniels. And here's another cover for it. My image is too big. If I make, well, let me see if I can make the image. Nope. No, it doesn't matter. Right. So this particular cover features Cass Magda. It has Cass Magda's name on it as like the co-star with Gary Daniels. So Cass was not just a fight coordinator for this movie. He was also an actor, right, as such. So this might be one that, if you guys are not aware of, although I suspect that there's a lot of Gary Daniels fans on here, right? So check that out. So Hawk's Vengeance, and then Chris's movie is Exposure, or Razor Sharp, or El Arte de Matar. So I tell you that because, again, when you get to know these guys a little bit better, then you start to see that everybody who was close to Inosano, everybody who was like an insider with Inosano, we all kind of end up going not in the same path, but we all have these commonalities: doing movies, doing stunts, opening schools, teaching as a career, and that type of thing, right? So this is an image I think a lot of you. Let's see if I can pull. Yeah, I thought my technology was better, right? So this is an image that ended up on the internet a while ago. So this is Cass and Chris and Sifu and Asano in. I thought this was the Kali Academy in Torrance, but this is actually the first what do you call it? Not Glencoe Avenue, the first Marina del Rey school, apparently. All right. So this is just to give you an idea, like I was saying, of people who go way, way back in time with Inosano. So look at these two young kids with that guy. And everybody who comes to the seminar, and if you've never met them before, and if you get to meet them, I think you'll get a sense of the depth of knowledge that that the two of them possess, and a lot of that is because they were fortunate enough to be with Inosano back in the time when Cass says it, when Inosano was on fire, right? But that's an easy way of saying, that's another way of saying when Inosano was younger, right? But more importantly, actually, I don't have it here, but Chris did put it up on his page, his Facebook page, the other day, and it was one of the. He says it was a magazine article that propelled him to get in touch with Inosano. And the title of it is Jeet Kune, Fast, Fluid, and Deceptive, I think, right? I think that's the name of the article. If you message me, or you put it in the comments, or you message me, I can try to get you a copy of it. But he said, but when I talked to Cass about stuff like that, like way back in the day, it said this is when Inosano was 100% invested in training Jeet Kune and teaching Jeet Kune and developing Jeet Kune as a fighting system, right? So like I said before, when Inosano was on fire, and that was a different time, was a different era. Okay, this was probably just slightly before the seminar thing started. And where were we? Oh, we were in LA. So Ron Reagan, I think Ron Reagan, my training partner, my good friend, is on here too. So we were in LA at Cass's school, and he was telling us a story about him and Inosano being at a seminar. I think they were in England or something. And the first day of the seminar, everybody shows up, because it was like for a karate school, right? So everybody shows up in their karate gis, barefoot, and with their belts and what have you. By the second day, of course, all that changed. But his point was, there was no way to get down and dirty, go in depth with Jeet Kune training with these people, because they didn't even have, let's call it, the basic requirements. It's a bunch of karate people in bare feet who don't know how to hold their hands, don't know anything about a fighting position, don't know anything about footwork, because, you know, in Shotokan, when I was training in Shotokan, there was no footwork as such. There was moving from one stance to the other stance, right? But there was not a thing called footwork. So you cannot, on a seminar basis, teach people Jeet Kune when they don't have these requirements, right? So that was an interesting thing that that Cass pointed out. Chris, so I can tell you this: I met Cass in '83. My first foray into the Jeet Kune world. He was Inosano's assistant at the time, so I met him right when I met Sifu Dan. Chris, I met in '83 also, because on the weekend from camp, instead of staying on the university campus, we took a road trip down to Torrance. So we went to the Kali Academy, and Chris was there. And so I met Chris there. Then Chris was in Trinidad in 1985 with Sifu Inosano, doing a demonstration for my good friend G. Anthony Joseph. And that's where that's where I saw him again. And then when I started, because I think it was in, it's safe to say that 1986 was when I started traveling out to LA as much as I could, because 86 was when I moved to Miami. So now I didn't have to go Barbados to San Juan, San Juan to LA, or Barbados to San Juan to Miami, Miami to LA, or Barbados to San Juan to Atlanta, Atlanta to LA. I was now living in Miami, so we had like 3 nonstops to LA every day. So it might have been 86. It could have been before that, but I think it's safe for me to say that definitely in 86 is when I started going out to LA as much as I could. And so I would see everybody there. Sometimes I would stay at Cass's place. I would go on private lesson trips with him. And, you know, I would see Chris at the school and what have you. So it was good time. So I was not a California guy, but I had a couple of years of that intimacy, right? Kids who had fallen under, I was going to say fallen under the spell, but kids who were really, really into the art and fortunate enough to spend quality time with Dan and Asano. So this is why I hold the two of them in very high esteem. And that's why this is pretty much a dream come true for me. I don't have the picture of Chris, because Cass, I didn't know this until maybe a couple of months ago, but Cass worked with I think it's Roger Corman, and did about 10 movies as a stunt coordinator, and but then also did the Hawk's Vengeance thing. So let me show you. I pulled a couple of clips from Hawk's Vengeance, right, to show you guys. Would really help to have an assistant. Right. So check this out. This is Hawk's Vengeance, Cass Magda and Gary Daniels, and that's a big old blade that Cass is working there, and that's another fight scene from Hawk's Vengeance. So if you've never seen it, see if you can find it on TV somewhere, right? Okay. Then with Chris, there. Oh, let me show you one more. Let me show you one more picture from Hawk's Vengeance. This one is to annoy all of the Jeet Kune purists. Right, so it, let's see. Yeah, there we go. Right, because, you know, we got to work the weaponry in somehow, right? and annoy the Jeet Kune purists. Oh, there they go with the Kali. Right? So, right. Chris has done infinitely more work than Cass could ever dream of with when it comes to writing and producing training materials for let's see. So all you guys will know all of this stuff, but I'll just share it with you. All right. In fact, I have a couple of them here. So this is Jeet Kune A to Z. This is 2 volumes. This one, you could almost say you could, but it wouldn't be quite accurate. But the titles are similar. Dan Asano has a Jeet Kune guide to equipment training as well, but Chris produced his own, the infamous Jeet Kune kickboxing one, right? Do I have it here? Nope, that's not it. That's the Hartzell book, right? So Chris has done a lot of stuff in publishing and what have you. If you go to ckjkd.com and you sign up on his website, then you'll have access to all the YouTube videos and all that stuff that he puts out. Chris is a really, really good writer. I have long admired his communications ability and what have you, and he's parlaying that communications ability now into the field of personal development, right? So I should have put those 2 books up as well. Maybe I'll put it in post-production. But he's got what is it called? It's not called Express Yourself. This is embarrassing, but it's I mean, and to me it makes perfect sense, right? I know that the subtitle is How to Think Like Bruce Lee, but it makes perfect sense for people who, again, and I cannot stress the importance of this enough, because they were with Asano in a formative period of Jeet Kune. The personal development, the evolution of the individual, those things were of paramount importance. Those things were emphasized a whole lot in that era. So it's not surprising if Chris Kent goes on to parlay Jeet Kune skill and Jeet Kune authority into a personal a career as a thought leader and as a personal development or personal evolution teacher. Right? Makes perfect sense to me. Now, if you were coming to Miami in the Q&A, you'd be able to talk to him about that experience. But if you're not, too bad for you. I'll be there. I'll be sure to have the conversation with him. But Cass has done, even though he hasn't written books or what have you, but Cass was a relatively prolific writer. So let me show you some of his stuff. But I think he wrote more for European publications than he did for U.S. publications. So here's an article on the art of low-line kicking. This is the 3 cornerstones of Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune. This was for Black Belt magazine, I'm pretty sure. And not that. This one's called What You Need to Know About Jeet Kune, and I'm pretty sure that that this is a British publication. And you know why? Because my buddy, see, it says right there, photos by Greg Rhodes, right? Greg is somebody that I've gotten to know a little bit. And what Greg and I have, when we found this out, one of the things Greg and I have in common is that we have both overnighted at Cass's apartment, which I believe used to be Dan Inisano's apartment, right? And then Inisano moved out, Cass moved in, and shared the apartment with Tim Cordoza and Del Pollard, right? So the stuff that I'm talking to you about, and the emotion that I have for it, the affinity that I have for these guys, somebody like Greg Rhodes, an old timer, an old schooler, he would understand it because he went through that type of thing as well, right? So I will leave it at that. Okay, I think I'll show you one more image. Uh, no, I'll show you a couple more images, right? Just so you get a really, really good idea, in case I haven't done a good enough job to give you an idea of who and what these guys are. So this is, let's see which one's first. Okay, switch this. So this is, look how young they are, right? So this is Chris and Cass in Hawaii when Kali Academy members went over to see Grandmaster Floro Villabril, right? So they were part of that excursion. This is Chris and Sifu Dan at the Inisano Academy. This one I think is probably, might even be close to 10 years ago or so, but it was the grand reunion because there's Jeff Imada, Chris, Sifu Dan, and Cass, right? And that's those those guys hadn't been together in the same place in a really long time, right? And this is a photo that I um, came upon. It's from a British guy, I think, TK Lowe. I think TK Lowe, and this is vintage. This is prime stuff for me. This was my experience. Dan Inisano and Cass Magda on seminar. This is what I grew up on, right? So it's really cool for me to be able to continue that legacy, to continue that lineage, and bring Chris and Cass together here in Miami. Okay, so I'm not trying to sell you guys or anything. I'm just trying to explain to you that there's a Jeet Kune era that was really, really special, and for various reasons and what have you. And one of the main reasons being just the passage of time. Things are not that same way, but very little stays the same. But I just want you guys to know that there was this special era, and if you can avail yourself of conversation, training, any kind of dissemination of information from people who were part of that era, then you really should do something for that. All right, so I hate to say that nobody sent in any questions. Well, let me do a quick email check and make sure. But I didn't get any emails, and I didn't get any comment questions on the Facebook post. So let me just be sure. So if anybody has a question for me now, while I check email and my spam folder. Nope, it's only Grant Cardone in my spam folder. All right, so if you guys have any questions for me, I'd be more than happy. Let me just check again. Okay, what the heck is this, Russell? Source for the question I always ask, and you answered on your last AMA. What? What does that mean? I have no idea what. I have no idea what Russell's talking about. Anyhow, right? Um, so let me just check and see if you guys put anything in there for me. Hey, Bo Jackson. So, okay, let's do this. So, Bucky Barreto will be here. Scorch, I don't think you have signed up. It'd be fun if you could make it to the seminar. I told you guys, Randy's student Theodore is coming down. Ron Reagan Goldstein, Bo Jackson will be here. Dennis Lasley, no. Scorch says he saw the movie in the Dollar Tree movie section. Nice one, right? Del Mountain says he'll watch that movie. Frank says the action section at my video store was, and poor Mick Tully is locked in the basement, so he can't make it out. Okay, all right. So, magazine retriever. Is it true that Bruce Lee had his sweat glands removed? I heard that again, like I try to tell certain people on Facebook, I am not um, a Bruce Lee historian. I am not a Bruce Lee collector. As a matter of fact, I kind of lost. I kind of fell out of favor with a guy one time, a guy here in Miami, because when he met me, he thought that I was like a fan, right? As opposed to being a follower. So I'm a Bruce Lee follower. I guess I'm a fan because I've seen all his movies. I own all his movies. I have maybe 7 copies of Enter the Dragon. I have a Green Hornet thing. I didn't buy it. Somebody gave it to me, but I don't have a collection like like a Richard Torres collection or a Charles Damiano collection or that type of stuff. That's not me. So I heard that he did have his sweat glands removed. Yes. But there's a picture that I'm thinking of from the set of Enter the Dragon, and to me it looks to me like he's sweating. So if he'd had his glands removed, sorry about that, somebody on the road. Let me see if I can find the picture. I sent Bucky a screenshot of my my Bob Marley collection because we were talking about that the other day, and if I ever showed him my picture folder for Bruce Lee, he'd go crazy. So there's this one. No, I can't find it. I have too many Bruce Lee pictures, but there's this one picture, and he's in the white outfit. The white. I guess maybe the fight scene with Bob Wall and what have you. And it surely looks to me as if Bruce Lee is sweating. So I don't know when those sweat glands, when they would have been removed. I know for sure that he was sweating in on Way of the Dragon. I know that for sure. Let's see if I have that picture. See, if I'd gotten this question earlier, Retriever, I could have retrieved it more quickly. Where is it? But there's a famous picture. Is this one? No, that's not it. There's a famous picture of maybe it's not Way to Dragon, maybe it's Game of Death. Yeah, there we go. Okay. All right. So let's see. I think this is one of them, right? So look at Bruce Lee's armpits. So if he'd had, so I guess the sweat glands removal was a thing between starting filming of Game of Death and then being, I mean, I don't know. I'm a terrible historian. So I heard that he had, I can't tell you for sure, right? Bo Jackson's here. Okay. Frank says armpit sweat glands, not all of his sweat glands. It was because he sweated too much on screen. Yeah, that's entirely possible, right? Okay. All right. So I will do a quick check back on Facebook and see if anybody, because I guess Russell's teaching because he's not here today. All right, so if you guys have nothing else for me, I will go ahead and pull the plug on this thing. And as soon as I get a confirmation for next Friday's guest, the Dell says maybe the antiperspirants in the 1970s weren't as good as they are today. That's entirely possible, Bell Mountain, right? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, as soon as I know if this guy will be able to come on the program, I will let you guys know, and we will do this again. All right. So okay. So if you got nothing else for me, let's call it a wrap. We'll finish up early. I can have an earlier dinner, earlier Friday dinner, right? The dudette will be happy. Okay, so all right, guys, thank you very much for spending some time with me, and we'll do this again. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. You guys have a great weekend. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Rebel, signing off. Take care. Talk soon.